Hi, good evening. Welcome along. Yes, we are here once again. Calvé Sonokol, Dharmesh Chef are here, as always. Michael Bridge is here because he's got a key development on Tottenham's pursuit of Matias Tell. Clinton Morrison and Paul Merson are on their way, and so is the deadline. But it can't come quick enough for some.
I hope it was all over today, but apparently it's extended till Monday.
We are trying everything that we can.
He's happy here.
Everybody wants him, including us.
I don't know.
I wouldn't discuss about that.
All the merit is from Garnacho.
If they are talking about you, about different clubs, probably the focus is not 100%.
We want to continue to improve with Garnacho.
It's still been ringing, but it's been ringing the other way.
Right, we've been mentioning him throughout the window. There has been a development in the Marcus Rashford story. Calvé Sonokol.
Well, look, Aston Villa are looking to sign forward players over the next few days. They've lost John Duran, who's on his way to Saudi Arabia. Emi Buendia has moved to Germany on loan. They need to bring in reinforcements. We've been talking about their options, the players they've been looking at over the last couple of days. A new name now is Marcus Rashford. He's a player they could make a move for in the next 72 hours. Unai Emery, the Aston Villa head coach, is a big fan of Rashford. Everybody knows that Rashford is available on loan from Manchester United. But he's not Villa's only target. They're also looking at João Felix at Chelsea. They're looking also at Marco Asensio at PSG and Matias Tell at Bayern Munich.
Dharmesh, is there time to get Rashford over the line?
Yes, but it's not going to be easy. I mean, Rashford continues to train with the Manchester United first-team squad. He's been criticised heavily in recent weeks by Ruben Amorim, very publicly as well in some of his news conferences. But there's still no breakthrough with any club and a potential deal in this transfer window. But the head coach, Ruben Amorim, when he was speaking, we had his news conference live before the Europa League game on Wednesday night, and he actually said that Manchester United are a better team with Rashford. Now, we know so far in this window, there's been Saudi interest, there's been clubs from Turkey who've been interested. They've been ruled out of hand by Marcus Rashford. He didn't want to go to either of those destinations. Borussia Dortmund are keeping an eye on his situation, but his preference is Barcelona. This could get interesting in the last few hours with regard to Barcelona. It's going to be so difficult for them to do, admittedly, because of all of their financial problems, but they will have seen Ruben Amorim's comments in the recent weeks, and maybe they can spot an opportunity to think we might be able to get a good deal here for Marcus Rashford, because his value might be coming down because of all these public utterances from his head coach saying, you know, he's not training to the maximum and he's not doing what I'm asking him to do. Interestingly, this is what the sporting director of Barcelona, Deco, said 2 weeks ago. He said the priority is the renewals of the important players in the squad, and then we could focus on one or two reinforcements. Now, those renewals are done. Araujo is done. Pedri is done. Today, Gavi was done. Can they now muster up enough salary space to accommodate somebody like Marcus Rashford? I mentioned Borussia Dortmund before. This time last year, they did a deal with United, with Jadon Sancho. And it was an incentivised deal whereby the better Sancho did, the better Dortmund did, the more money Manchester United got. So can they still get creative with one of these clubs, or even Aston Villa, in the remaining 3 days of this transfer window, to get Marcus Rashford a move away from Old Trafford?
I think he may want to go to Barcelona, but let's be realistic. He's not playing for Manchester United. Is he really going to be playing regularly for Barcelona when they've got players like Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha? Is he going to get the regular football that he wants? And that leads to the question of, would he be better off going to somewhere like Aston Villa, where I think he would get more regular football?
Or maybe he needs a change of scenery and a change of country and a new challenge, and maybe that will reinvigorate Marcus Rashford for the rest of the season. Then he comes back to Manchester United, and Manchester United, if they want to sell him, will probably be able to get a lot more money than if they were trying to sell him in a January transfer window.
Well, time's running out. 11 p.m. Monday, the deadline. Right, I gave you the big up in the top of the show about you've got a development on Tottenham's pursuit of Matias Tell. So what have you got?
Well, yesterday, Mike, we reported that they were in talks over a loan deal with Matias Tell and Bayern Munich. Then later that afternoon, we found out that it's actually over a permanent deal. Now, it sounds like Bayern Munich are pretty happy with the terms Tottenham Hotspur have offered. We understand around £50 million. Now, we don't know whether that's on obligation first and then they'll pay the fee. One source has told me that it might even involve the money that Bayern Munich still owe Tottenham for Harry Kane, because most transfer dealings now, it's not all in one. It's in stages. So, but Daniel Levy, like with a number of deals, he gets heavily involved, and he's getting heavily involved in this one. Look, you've got Harry Kane in Munich. You've also got Eric Dyer, who spent over 10 years at Tottenham Hotspur as well, and both of them should speak very highly of their time there. Of course, Harry Kane, club record goal scorer. Now, the issue really for Spurs is, does Tell want to go somewhere permanently now? It does sound like he's got a number of options, but Spurs, very, very keen, offers in. We have to wait and see now.
Well, Michael just said it. He's got a number of options. Who are they?
Well, he's got lots of options. I mean, in the Premier League, there are clubs like Chelsea who've been looking at him. He's an option for Aston Villa as well. Clubs in Germany, clubs in Saudi Arabia. Al Ahly, one of the big four clubs in Saudi Arabia who are based in Jeddah. They have a German manager as well. I don't think he'll be going to Saudi Arabia. My feeling, my gut feeling, and what I've been hearing from a few people we've been speaking to is maybe he just fancies going to Manchester United. I don't know. That's just something that is being mentioned a lot. Does he want to go to Manchester United instead of Spurs? I'm not sure, but it's a big statement of intent from Spurs to have the technical director and to have the chairman of the club flying to Munich to try and convince a very, very young player to move to Tottenham.
Carve mentioned Manchester United there. There is an interest there, actually, and there have been inquiries which have been described to me as being tentative between Manchester United and Bayern Munich over Matias Tell. But so many ingredients would have to come together for any kind of deal for Tell to Manchester United to come to fruition, simply because we think any potential deal would depend on Manchester United releasing players as well. And we do know that the two that we have been talking about throughout this transfer window, we've just been mentioning, one of them, Marcus Rashford, and the other one, Alejandro Garnacho.
If he wanted to play for Tottenham, he'd be a Tottenham player already, wouldn't he?
Not really, because he's only made up his mind to leave Bayern Munich in the last few days. I think he was put under pressure a week or so ago to leave Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich wanted to bring in Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea, and Chelsea wanted to bring Tell to London. He said, no, I'm going to stay and fight for my place. I've worked hard to get to a club as big as Bayern Munich. I don't want to leave. But I think over the last few days, it's been made very, very clear to him that he's not going to play at all if he stays at Bayern Munich, which is why he's decided, OK, I will leave. And that has alerted all these clubs, like Chelsea, like potentially Chelsea, Aston Villa and Manchester United. But you have to say, the club who are trying to steal a march on everyone else are Spurs. And would he be a good signing for Spurs? I'm not sure. You know, he's a very, very young player.
Not sure.
Well, he's a very young player. He's hardly played this season. He's played something like 200 minutes of football. He hasn't scored at all. Yes, he's a brilliant young player, but do Tottenham need another player for the future, or do they need somebody who is fit and raring and ready to go and has Premier League experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what's key as well, we've spoken to our colleagues in Germany, and someone said to me yesterday, his character, he's a really good person, and that genuinely really goes a long way. You see some players leave football clubs and you think, why are they getting rid of him? It's not always about what they do on the football pitch. He's a really good character, learnt German very quick when he moved from France, not the easiest language in the world to learn, and the fans really like him. So it's an interesting one. We'll wait and see. And I don't think just because he hasn't joined yet, he's got some serious options. Time will tell.
He says serious options, and we keep talking about these other clubs, and you were asking Carve the question, if he's going to go to Tottenham, why hasn't he gone to Tottenham already? One thing I would say is if Daniel Levy is in Munich trying to sort out a deal for around £50 million, is that what we're talking about,
around
a permanent deal? Then Tottenham must be getting some encouragement that Matias Tell would make that move to Tottenham. There's no point Tottenham going to all of this trouble, getting the chairman there, getting the technical director there to talk everything over with Bayern Munich. Brilliant, we've sorted this deal out. Come on then, Matias, let's go. I don't fancy it. There would have been encouragement from that.
Liverpool, it happens.
Yeah, but completely different situation.
Go on.
Completely different situation.
Just before we move on very quickly, I get the feeling that Bayern are happy with what Tottenham have offered, and perhaps Daniel Levy will be speaking maybe now to the representatives of the player, because I think Bayern would be pretty keen in terms of the money, as I mentioned before, and I think it's quite an important point to make that they still owe Harry Kane, or they still owe Tottenham Hotspur money from the Harry Kane.
We don't see that very often, though. Somebody who's a chairman of a club, who effectively owns a Premier League club, getting on a plane and flying to another European city to try and convince a very, very young player to sign for them. Is that something that Daniel Levy's done before?
I remember him doing it with Fernando Morientes. I mean, that didn't work well in the end, did it? Because he didn't join. But he does do it. And look, let's face it, Leicester on Sunday wasn't nice. And it's been hard at the moment. Tottenham Hotspur are 15th. Now, the issue really is, Carve said he might be tempted by Manchester United. There'll always be Manchester United. But Tottenham in 15th, they're a massive, massive club, but at the moment, it doesn't look good at 15th. Pivotal few weeks. Europa League, well done to them last night. They've got the League Cup semi-final and the FA Cup. It's a massive few weeks ahead for them.
Indeed. All right, way back in all this chat, Darmesh mentioned Alejandro Garnacho. Here's what Ruben Amorim thinks of him.
He changed in everything. The approach when you talk with him, the way he recover. He understands that sometimes I'm a different coach, that I'm demanding in my way, and sometimes it's hard at the first impact, because he's a different kind of coach, and he understands that he's never in a bad way. It's always for him, but I'm a different person, and I think all the merit is from Garnacho. And he's improving, and we want to continue to improve with the Garnacho.
So, Carve, very positive about Garnacho, but we think he might be for sale. So what are we supposed to read into that?
I think we read into that Manchester United probably need to sell a player over the next few days. I think when it comes to PSR, financial fair play, they are very close to the limit, so perhaps it would suit them to sell a player, especially a player who is homegrown, so they could bank all the profits in their accounts. But I just get the sense from listening to Ruben Amorim that he doesn't want to lose Kobbie Mainoo and he doesn't want to lose Alejandro Garnacho.
Do you think it'll be his choice, though? Or will it be Ratcliffe?
I think he will have a big say, but I think you're right. Sometimes these decisions are not made by the manager or the head coach. They're made by people above him. But he was very, very clear. He said, I dropped Garnacho, I dropped Rashford for the Manchester derby in December, and I have been delighted by the way Garnacho has responded. He's changed everything, his conduct, the way he performs, the way he recovers. I couldn't ask more from him. So it's very, very clear that Ruben Amorim wants to keep Garnacho.
The big question marks over Garnacho are twofold. One, it's the pure profit you could get if you were to sell him. But also, people have been looking at Ruben Amorim and his style and his formation. He's playing three at the back. He's got wing-backs and he's got 2 10s. Garnacho isn't a wing-back. He isn't one of these 2 10s. But having said that, Ruben Amorim keeps praising him and he says he is adapting and he knows... I'm really pleased with how he's trying to transform his game into the way that I want to play. So it's clear that Garnacho isn't saying, well, I haven't got a future here anymore. He's knuckled down. He's been picked nearly every single game recently. Admittedly, he was on the bench yesterday, but he came off the bench, set up Kobbie Mainoo for United's second goal in the Europa League in Bucharest. So he's doing everything that Ruben Amorim is asking of him. So the later you go, it'd be quite surprising now if he was to go. But there's still that, it's still hanging over United just now because of the money he could get.
Speaking of hanging over United, I've been asking you this every day, so I'm going to ask you again. Why isn't the Dorgu deal done?
It's close. I haven't said that before. Look, there was a bit of surprising news yesterday because we got wind of the fact that Patrick Dorgu was going to be part of the Lecce squad for their game against Parma tonight. Now, I've since been told that Manchester United were made aware of this. They knew that this was going to happen. Lecce want Dorgu involved in that squad tonight because it is a humongous game for them.
But that can't be OK for United.
They've had these discussions. everything is agreed between the two clubs. It's still not signed off yet. He's still a Lecce player. Lecce can play him if they want to play him. But it's a massive game for them. So they've agreed with United, look, we need him in the squad for this game. Lecce are in the bottom three. Parma are 2 places above them and only above them on goal difference. So both of them trying to fight to stay in Serie A. Dorgu, though, is expected, all things being well, to fly into Manchester tomorrow for his medical this weekend. And then he'll become a Manchester United player because they've agreed this deal, which is worth a little bit shy of £30 million, including performance-related add-ons. But given the status of this deal, and you're right to ask the question about him being involved in this squad, Sky Italy have been reporting earlier on today that Dorgu's expected to start on the bench for this game tonight, but they did want him as part of that squad because of the enormity of this match. And there could be a knock-on effect on Tyrell Malacia if and when Dorgu arrives. We've been telling you that Real Betis remain in contact with Manchester United over a loan deal to the end of the season, and there are a number of other European clubs who are interested as well, Benfica being one of them. United want him to get regular first-team football. The contract situation is still positive for them. He's still got 18 months left with a year option as well.
I'm being told you've got some developments coming out of Spurs. What have you got?
Well, I owe you an apology, because all month I've just said... What have I said to you all month? It's just forward...
Striker?
Yeah, forward, striker. But I think Spurs will be in for a defender ahead of Monday's deadline.
Really?
Yeah, and the player they're currently talking to, I know it's been doing the rounds, so we can confirm that player they are speaking to in the club they're speaking to is AC Milan. That player is Fikayo Tomori. Early discussions, not sure yet whether it would be a permanent or a loan, but he's one of a number of options they're considering for Fikayo Tomori. So AC Milan and Spurs in talks. Now, Ange Postecoglou said to our reporter Gary Cotter in the press conference today that they will consider a defender. Radu Dragusin hurt his knee last night. Christian Romero, I don't think is anywhere near returning. Mickey van der Ven returned last night. But Spurs don't want this problem again, Mike, about injuries at the back. So there could be potential cover. And if it is Tomori, that'd be good cover.
Would be indeed. Right, Aston Villa made the headlines yesterday, or others made them for them. John Duran on his way out. What does that mean for Ollie Watkins? Here's Unai Emery.
When they are some teams as well, being interested in the players, of course, is very good for the players. And some players, of course, they prefer to leave. And some players, they accept to stay here, to be here, to compete with us here, and to compete with our challenges. And one of them is Ollie Watkins.
Has told you he's happy to stay at the club in this window?
Yes, he's happy to stay.
Right, Carver, he wants Watkins to stay. Could that change if Rashford, as you told us right at the top of the show, becomes part of the mix?
I still don't see Watkins leaving Aston Villa. They're already losing John Duran. They're doing really well in the league. They're doing exceptionally well in Europe as well. Why lose both your number 9s in a January transfer window when you don't need to? I think if they get a player like Rashford or a player like João Felix or Asensio, it'll be somebody to play with Ollie Watkins, not instead of him.
OK, all right, so if Watkins stays, the question, the elephant in the room, is what does that mean for Arsenal? When we come back, we'll talk Arsenal and we'll hear from the boss, Mikel Arteta. See you in a bit. Hi, welcome back to the Transfer Show. We were going to talk Arsenal, we're not anymore. Something's happened at Chelsea. Carve.
Well, look, we know that Chelsea are looking to sign a new striker during this window. Nicholas Jackson has been having to carry the load on his shoulders for a long time. I think he hasn't scored for a while. Christopher Nkunku looks like he may be moving to Bayern Munich. So they've been looking at the market, and one player, a player who they have been tracking for a long, long time, is Brighton's Evan Ferguson. Now, we didn't believe that they were in the mix to sign him, even though Brighton have let it be known that he is available this window. But the latest information we have is that I think Chelsea are monitoring the player. And if it looks like he may be moving on loan or on a permanent deal to another club, then I think Chelsea would be willing to have a look at the potential deal and decide whether they want to match that, because he's a player they've been tracking for a long, long time.
It mentions if there's another club that are in for Evan Ferguson. We've been talking about Evan Ferguson throughout this window. There have been loads of clubs who've been interested in him, not only in the Premier League but in Europe as well. But our information as of this morning was that West Ham United are continuing to really push to try and sign Evan Ferguson. They're in contact with Brighton and are expected to propose a deal, and we think that they're exploring both a loan and a permanent transfer for Evan Ferguson. There's growing optimism up until he starts speaking about Evan Ferguson wanting to come to West Ham United to be reunited with his former manager Graham Potter, the same Graham Potter who gave him his debut at Brighton. So he's one of a number of forwards that West Ham United are looking at. Everton have been interested in Evan Ferguson as well, but the feeling from that side is they feel he's going to go to another Premier League club. We thought it was going to be West Ham. Let's see if Chelsea are going to pursue their interest. As far as these other targets go, West Ham have made inquiries to Benfica over their striker Artur Cabral, but Ferguson remains the primary target.
So that's another striker not linked with Arsenal. What's going on with Arsenal's striker situation? Here's Mikel Arteta.
We are trying everything that we can, but I don't want to give any reassurance or not. I don't know. It doesn't depend only on us, so our intention is clear, but the possibilities are affected by three parties.
Right, it is time to get the audience involved. Are you Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan.
Jordan?
Yeah.
We can see who you support, so give us your question.
Is 29-year-old Ollie Watkins a good deal for Arsenal? 60 million for a 29-year-old?
Who wants it?
Well, it's not 60 million. Yeah. Look, this is really interesting because even though Unai Emery is saying all the right things, don't want to sell, and it appears that they're not going to allow Ollie Watkins to leave in the same transfer window as John Duran. There was one source that keeps nagging at me that I mentioned yesterday, that it was actually the deal was proposed to Arsenal, and it was the valuation that they were given was £60 million, whereas Arsenal value Ollie Watkins more at £40 million. And if you think about what's happened with Arsenal in this transfer window, it seems to be in two parts, if you like. Up until Gabriel Jesus got injured, they were still looking for a striker. They were still looking for a forward. They knew they were a little bit short there. And they were looking at certain players, maybe a short-term deal from abroad, because they can't do a domestic loan because they've already filled those two spots, Neto and Raheem Sterling. Now, when news emerged that Gabriel Jesus had injured his anti-cruciate ligament, which is a minimum of 9 months out before you start playing again, that was in the middle of January. So I think Arsenal then had to change tack a little bit. And what they had to do then was change the focus of their target. So maybe it's not just a short-term deal they're looking at, but a longer-term one as well. Hence why maybe the Watkins potential deal has come up. And maybe if we'd known that Gabriel Jesus was injured, say 2 weeks before, could that have been approached and eliminated earlier? It's just that it happened in the middle of the transfer window, and then Arsenal kind of had to change the way that they were approaching this window.
Jordan, you're an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Do you desperately want a striker in the door?
We definitely need a striker, man. I really want Isaac, but
good luck with that.
We're not going to spend the money. I think they valued him at 150 million or something like that. I can't see us spending that money. But yeah.
But you need someone.
Definitely need a striker, man. We're crying. Yeah.
Can they pull anyone out of the hat, Carvey?
I mean, I think Ollie Watkins would have been a fantastic signing for Arsenal. You know, he's a brilliant striker. I think only Haaland has scored more non-penalty goals than him recently. But the issue I've got with their move for Watkins is, if Darmish is right, and I'm sure he is, and their bid was £40 million, Matt Law of the Daily Telegraph today has pointed out that Arsenal sold Eddie Nketiah to Crystal Palace for £30 million.
£30 million.
So if Eddie Nketiah is worth 30 million, you telling me England striker, understudy to Harry Kane, Ollie, Watkins, only Erling Haaland scored more goals than him, he's only worth 10 million more than Eddie Nketiah.
Good point.
I think if Arsenal were really, really serious about getting Ollie Watkins, they should have made their move earlier. But of course, as Darmesh mentions, they didn't know that Gabriel Jesus was going to pick up this
but as we've said,
serious injury.
They should have been getting a striker. Help me out here, Jordan. They should have got a striker before, shouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. We've needed a striker from last season. Havertz is not really a number 9 as such. And,
well, he's a midfielder, really, isn't he?
We don't know where he plays. He plays a bit everywhere, but...
Two things I'd say. Arsenal scored 91 goals last season with Kai Havertz in the team. Only Manchester City scored more goals than them. 91 goals, yeah? I don't think many people were saying then, oh my goodness, what's going on?
Havertz did step up a bit, but the whole team contributed goals.
Of course, and so that's why I'm saying Arsenal, when they go into a window and they go into a transfer and they want to bring in a striker, they've got to make sure it's the right fit of striker as well. It's not just, I know we had a bit of an argument about this a couple of weeks ago. He was just saying, John Duran, just get him in. They could, but is he going to fit into how Mikel Arteta wants to play? Not necessarily. So they've got to make sure not only it's the right deal, but it's the right player and the right character for that squad.
True.
Just one quick line to bring you, Mike. We're talking about Manchester United and what they're trying to do in this transfer window. They're actually looking ahead to the summer transfer window as well, which is going to be a huge one for Ruben Amorim. Make no mistake about it. He's going to need to mould that squad. Now, we are told that Giovanni Kenda is one of a number of players they are targeting. Now, Ruben Amorim knows him very, very well. He gave Kenda, he's a up-and-coming 17-year-old. People are calling him a generational talent, actually. Portuguese under-21 international. He gave him his debut at Sporting Lisbon. United definitely want to sign him, but more in the summer transfer window. And that's because Ruben Amorim will keep his promise that he made when he got the job at Manchester United, that he wouldn't go back to Sporting Lisbon in this transfer window and buy any of their players.
I missed it. What position does he play?
He's a winger.
Oh, OK.
So he'll probably be able to play in the formation that Ruben Amorim would want, and he's played under him as well, so Amorim knows him really, really well.
All right, we're going to take a break. Great question, Jordan. Thank you. Right, when we come back, Carve and Darmish are going to take you through every single Premier League club with a Premier League wrap. See you in a bit.
Certainly is. Mikel Arteta refused to speak specifically about Arsenal's interest in Ollie Watkins, but admitted the club are trying everything to sign a striker.
Unai Emery was more forthcoming, saying Watkins is happy to stay at Villa. Villa are not prepared to sell the striker, with John Duran on the verge of signing for Al Nassr.
Andoni Iraola has confirmed Bournemouth are looking to bring in a striker on loan to provide cover for Evan Nielsen and Enes Ünal, who are both injured.
Consolidation, the focus for Brentford, who have no interest in selling any of their key players.
Brighton forward Evan Ferguson is being targeted by West Ham. They are understood to be exploring the possibility of completing either a loan or a permanent deal.
Enzo Maresca has confirmed Chelsea are not planning to recall their goalkeeper Kepa, who's currently on loan at Bournemouth.
Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner says he remains open to doing business this month, and he'd like to bring in 2 more players to provide cover in defence and in midfield.
We understand that Everton have an interest in midfielder Carlos Charlie Alcaraz, who plays for Brazilian side Flamengo, but there is work to be done from Everton's perspective.
Marco Silva confirms Fulham are in the market for a right winger and a right back before Monday's deadline.
Ipswich still searching for fresh incomings to aid their survival bid, but Kieran McKenna says the club won't make panic decisions in the last few days of the window.
Ruud van Nistelrooy says Leicester City will work until the final seconds of the window as he looks to strengthen his squad.
Liverpool boss Arne Slot says he expects Mohamed Salah to make the right decision about his future amid interest from Saudi Arabia.
Manchester City's business may not be over. After spending £120 million, they're still keen to add a defensive midfielder before the deadline.
Patrick Dorgu is expected to fly to the UK tomorrow for a medical ahead of completing his move to Manchester United for an initial fee of £25.4 million.
Eddie Howe is expecting a quiet end to the month at Newcastle. That's after Miguel Almiron was sold to Atlanta United for PSR reasons.
Matheus Cunha is a target for Nottingham Forest and other clubs, but Wolves remain adamant he's not for sale.
Southampton have rejected a loan offer from Leeds United for their forward Cameron Archer.
Sky Germany have reported that Tottenham have verbally agreed a £50 million deal with Bayern Munich for Matias Tell, but the player has lots of other options.
West Ham United are looking to bring in a striker. They are interested in Brighton's Evan Ferguson, but have also made an inquiry about Benfica forward Artur Cabral.
Wolves could be active before the end of the window. Vitor Pereira is targeting reinforcements in defence and in midfield.
Right, we were talking earlier that Tottenham were all in for Matias Tell. The breaking news is with Michael Bridge. What you got?
Well, we've just been speaking to our colleagues in Germany, who, of course, have got excellent links with Bayern Munich, and they've told us that Matias Tell has rejected the proposal from Tottenham Hotspur, so it looks highly unlikely that he will be joining Tottenham Hotspur. Now, it sounds like he's more keen on a loan deal, and as we've been talking about interest potentially from Manchester United, Aston Villa and Chelsea and potentially others, Spurs was more of a permanent deal, but it looks like he will not end up at Tottenham Hotspur. But I'm going to say it now, Mike, it could be a busy deadline day then, because they want a forward. I know you all love deadline day, don't you? You all love deadline day, and it's going to be a very, very busy one, I think, on Monday. And as we said earlier, before the end of the part there for Kaya tomorrow, Spurs are in talks of AC Milan, so a defender they want to get in now, but they still want this forward, Mike.
How much of a massive blow is that, though, for Spurs? Because, as you said, Daniel Levy was heavily involved in this. They wanted him. He doesn't want Spurs.
Well, we started January with the Randall Kolo Muani interest. He went to Juve. This will be a blow. This will be a blow. It'd be really disappointing. Dominic Solanke's out for a couple more weeks. Richarlison is back, but he has had a number of injury problems. This is a disappointment, of course, but we'll get more on this throughout the evening, and stay with us on Sky Sports News when we get more information on this. But I've got to say, Mike, if it's not going to be Tell, Spurs still need to sign a forward, so it could be busy Monday.
Well, they've only got 3 days. Best get on with it. Right, we're going to take a break. I've got being told to get on with it as well. When we come back, we're going to put Kaveh and Darmesh under the pump. The audience are going to fire questions at them. And also, Clinton Morrison and Paul Merson will join us from 6. See you in a bit. Hi there, welcome back to the Transfer Show. We spent the beginning of the window, didn't we, talking about Mo Salah day after day. We haven't so much lately. What's going on? Here's Arne Slot.
I would be surprised if there's anyone wherever around the world saying we don't want Mo Salah. So he's doing so well for so many years that everybody probably wants him, and he's done so well without my advice for a long time. So he can probably keep doing what is best for his career, even without my advice. But my advice to him would be different than and then the one you just mentioned.
Can you expand on that slightly then? If your advice would be different?
No. What I mean with different is that everybody wants him, including us. We want him to extend, of course, as well. So, yeah, that is clear. But I'm not surprised that Saudi wants him. But I'm also not surprised would not be surprised if other countries want him as well. So, yeah, he's been old and wise enough. He's done so many smart things in his career that he will make the right decision for himself and hopefully for us as well.
Carve, what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's very significant that Arne Slot was talking about Mo Salah today. Normally at his news conferences, when it comes to talking about Salah or Virgil van Dijk or Trent Alexander-Arnold, he doesn't like to give too much away. I think the background to his comments today is that Piers Morgan has been interviewing the Saudi Minister of Sport, Prince Turki Al Faisal. And he asked Prince Turki, would the big prize for Saudi football be signing Mo Salah when his contract runs out at Liverpool? And the Minister of Sport said, definitely. He is a player we're interested in. If a deal can be done, it's something that we would look at doing. Arne Slot was asked about those comments at his news conference, and he really opened up. And he said, look, we want Mo Salah to stay. We want him to sign a new contract. He's such a good player. We know it's not just clubs in Saudi Arabia who'd be interested in signing him when he was a free agent. Clubs all around the world would want him. And he went on to say, I've got faith in Mo Salah. He is an older player now. He knows how football works. He's a wise man. And I have faith that he will make the right decision for himself, but also, hopefully, for Liverpool Football Club as well.
So what should we read into that? That Arne doesn't normally feel the need to talk about Mo, and suddenly he is. Is he worried? What, the Saudi window closes, what, in 3 hours?
No, I don't think he's worried. Yeah, the Saudi window closes in 3 hours. We always knew there was no chance of Mo Salah moving to Saudi Arabia during this window, but there's the possibility that he could go when his contract runs out at the end of this season. And, you know, the biggest club in Saudi Arabia at the moment, Al Hilal, are playing in the Club World Cup. They've just lost Neymar. They want a new marquee name to show off, because I think they're going to make a real push to do well in the Club World Cup in the USA this summer. Mo Salah would be the dream signing for them. You say, is Arne Slot worried? You could look at it the other way. Is the reason he's talking about Mo Salah perhaps that he's more confident now that Mo Salah is going to stay? And he went on to say that, look, I speak to Mo all the time, I speak to Virgil, I speak to Trent as well. So I think Arne Slot has said to all those three players, this is the place to be. You'd be crazy to leave Liverpool now.
Okay.
Salah's been really, really cute with how he's approached this whole thing.
Do you think?
I think
it's been a bit clunky for me.
Well, he's basically just said this is my last year, because factually it's his last year until he's put pen to paper on a new contract. It's his final year at Liverpool.
Yeah.
But then that messaging then gets the Liverpool fans to say, what's going on? Give Mohamed Salah what he wants. He's in an unbelievable position. He can talk to any club outside of England right now for a pre-contract agreement. He can spend the next 6 months at Liverpool. He could sign a new contract at Liverpool, or he could assess all of his options in the summer. And there's going to be a lot of options.
Right, I want to move on. I want to get some audience questions in. You've got a quick line, though.
Yeah, this is really, really interesting, actually. What a story. Wrexham have just announced the signing of the former England and Premier League striker, Jay Rodriguez, from Burnley for an undisclosed fee. He's 35 years old. He signed an 18-month contract until the end of the 2025-2026 season. Been superb for Burnley in a couple of spells. I think he was at West Brom as well. Were there any other clubs that I've forgotten? Southampton as well. And now he is going to join the story, he says, that has evolved at Wrexham with clear targets is exciting for me. Jay Rodriguez from Burnley to Wrexham.
That's brilliant. Right, let's get some audience questions in. First one up, Jay. Where are you, Jay? Away you go.
It's Vaughan, actually.
Oh, well, Vaughan,
That's
you
okay.
take over. You got the mic.
Right,
it's all
thank you.
yours.
Since I've got it. I just wanted to ask, when we see multiple clubs interested in individual players, how true is that? Or is it agents trying to push up the value of their players?
Good question, Carve.
I think, you know, sometimes it can be agents. I know sometimes agents get a bad reputation, but overall, if you speak to footballers, especially the ones who play at the top of the game, for instance, in the Premier League, they are very grateful for the work that agents do for them. But I think most of the time when you see lots of clubs being linked with a player, it is true. Somebody like Matias Tell, for instance, we've been telling you this evening that Spurs want him, Chelsea, Aston Villa, potentially Manchester United as well. We've also seen why it's dangerous for these clubs to have their names out in the media and for people to be talking about it, because if they don't get the player, then it can make them look like they've been snubbed, or, you know, it can make their supporters angry. So a lot of the times, agents, clubs, players want to keep all this under wraps and not have it out in the public. But of course, it's the job of journalists to try and find out as much as possible and report that news.
Sometimes I'll speak to agents that I've spoken to for years, and you know who you can trust or not. Sometimes when I haven't spoken to an agent before and they say 7 clubs are interested in my player, the red flag in my head immediately is, who is the 8th club that you're trying to hurry up to try and get this deal over the line? Sometimes that can happen, but sometimes 7 clubs are interested.
Right, Jay, hold on, because Sam is next. Sam?
Sam?
Thank goodness you're here, Sam. I
I'm
think
here.
you might be outside.
No, my question is more of a generic question. Clubs like my club, Brentford, Bournemouth, your Brightons, if you will, for them to achieve what the fans would want, maybe the next level, maybe knocking on the doors of European football regularly, would they have to try and match the top club spending power, or do you feel with their current transfer policies it is achievable?
Good question. Do you want that, Darms?
I think they can achieve getting to the next level with the model that they've got. We've seen Brighton. I mean, they are the best example of this. They bought Moises Caicedo for £4 million or something, wasn't it, from Independiente del Valle? And they sold him for £115 million, which was a British record at the time. So they're making huge profits, and then they can spend bigger than they were doing before, but still find these players with their recruitment policy that other teams probably won't want. It's probably worth, when Brighton are after a player, for all these other clubs who are going to end up paying £100 million for that Brighton player 2 years down the line to maybe get in when Brighton are trying to get in. But that's testament to their recruitment, as it is with Brighton, as it was, with Brentford and with Bournemouth as well.
Jay, you're up.
Hey, I'm Jay. I'm a Chelsea fan. I've got a simple question for you guys. So, how excited are you about transfer deadline day?
Oh, for us, it's like Christmas Day. It is the best day of the year. It's, I mean, this is great, right? If you can imagine, there are hundreds of people in our studio going crazy, running around, stories are flying around. It is the most brilliant day. I can't even express how good it is. So we're all looking forward to Monday, I think.
I'm looking forward to it more than last January.
Yes.
That was not good.
Forgot about that one.
How about you?
I prefer the summer transfer window to the January one, because it's a bit warmer.
Always gives it a downer.
I mean, it's very cold standing outside a ground for 16 hours.
When was the last time you did that?
I did it in the summer in
Oh yeah, you did.
Stamford Bridge.
That was in the summer.
Yeah, Darmish is always in the studio, so you know he's got the heating and the air conditioning and the catering. But normally, I think the summer transfer window is the really exciting one. But this time round, this month, there's been maybe not that many deals, but there have been a lot more clubs trying to do deals. For instance, when it comes to forwards, I think more than half the clubs in the Premier League are trying to sign a forward, and we've only got 3 days left of the window.
It should be pretty good. Great question. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the superstars are in. Clinton Morrison and Paul Merson will be here. And we'll take you through some more hours of the transfer show. See you in a bit.